welcome back to my channel. My name's Claire and you are watching another episode of my cake chemistry series, the one where I talk all about the science behind baking. If you're enjoying these videos so far, please do remember to give them a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and hit the notifications button so that you don't miss any of the latest updates from me. And if you've got any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in the future, please do pop them in the comments below or come and say hello to me over on Instagram. Now, since I know a lot of you are at home at the moment, I thought let's do a little bit of baking since it seems to be quite a popular thing to do when you're stuck in the house. And why not start with cookies, because everyone loves a cookie, right? If you don't love cookies, I just don't think we can be friends. For me, the perfect cookie is slightly crispy on the outside, yet soft and chewy in the center. Sweet with a slight hint of saltiness, and of course, lots of chocolatey chunks. I have made many cookies during my time as a baker and tried various recipes, each producing a slightly different result. One of my favourites happened to be from a free recipe book I got with the BBC Good Food magazine years and years ago. Sometimes the best recipes come from the most random of places. I've done much research into what makes the perfect cookie, and today I wanted to show you how to make a vegan version. I have made this recipe super simple with no fancy ingredients, everything you can pick up pretty easily from your local shop, except for maybe flour, which seems to be in very high demand at the moment. I'm going to prepare my ingredients and then we can start baking. To start with, you're going to need some vegan butter or margarine. You can use coconut oil or some other kind of vegetable oil. I just want to keep my recipe as close to the real thing as possible. Now, this has come straight out the fridge and I want to melt it slightly because this is going to make a softer, chewier cookie. However, I don't want my butter to be too liquid or warm, otherwise my sugar is going to dissolve in it and my cookies may end up spreading too thin. For my sugar, I am using light brown. It is so much moister and softer than regular white caster sugar, and it's also going to help give my cookies a really nice golden brown colour. So I'm going to cream together my butter and sugar until they're slightly light and fluffy, and then at that point I'm going to add a little bit of golden syrup, about a tablespoon. You could also add maple syrup if you prefer. Again, this is just going to add to the chewiness and give the cookies a little bit of extra flavour. Now that we've combined our butter and sugar, we're going to add the flour. I have chosen to use self-raising flour because I want to give my cookies an extra bit of lift. You can use plain or all-purpose flour, as it's called in the US, if you prefer. You just need to add a little bit of baking powder. You'll need approximately 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder per 100 grams of flour. To my flour, I've also added a large pinch of salt and also a large pinch of bicarbonate of soda. What this does is increases the pH of the dough, which gives rise to a slightly crispier cookie and also increases the rate of browning due to water evaporating more quickly. We have to be careful not to add too much bicarbonate of soda because otherwise it can give baked goods a slightly salty and chemical aftertaste. One more thing that I almost forgot to mention is that I've actually substituted 2 tablespoons of my flour for corn flour or cornstarch, as some of you might know it. This absorbs more moisture than regular flour, so it's going to help our cookies not spread too much and also give them a slightly softer texture. We want to carefully combine our flour and not over mix it, so just wait until everything is incorporated and we have a smooth texture. At this stage, we can also add our chocolate chips. I have 100 grams here of dark chocolate vegan chips, which are going to go in. Quite a lot there because I love chocolate. Okay, our cookie dough is all combined, ready to go. So it's time to start spooning that out onto our baking sheet. If you've got an ice cream scoop, that is great. I don't, so I'm just going to use a spoon, or you can use your hands, of course. Baking tray prepared, lined with some baking parchment. I'm going to make mine, I don't know, fairly big. You want to make them quite chunky, so don't flatten them out too much, because remember they are going to spread in the oven. I'm probably going to use about that much at once, and make sure you leave a fairly large gap in between each cookie. You may need a couple of sheets here because you don't want them to all like spread into each other, unless you just want one giant cookie, which actually sounds pretty good. Tray of cookies portioned out and looking good. Now before we bake them, the last step, and this is a very important one, is to chill them down for around about half an hour. Again, this is going to stop them from spreading too thinly. You can pop them in the freezer if you want to speed up the process. You only need to do it for about 10 minutes. In fact, you can make this dough in advance and freeze it in portions, and then whenever you fancy a nice soft chewy cookie, you can simply take them out the freezer, put your oven on and bake. There you go. So let's get these chilled down and then we can get baking. I have preheated my oven to 170 degrees centigrade around gas mark 3/4, and I'm going to bake them for around 12 to 15 minutes. For a softer cookie, just shorten the baking time, and if you want your cookie to be slightly crispier, just leave them in the oven for a little bit longer. I normally wait until the edges have started to brown and the cookie has spread and it's like developing a nice golden brown colour. Then I remove them from the oven and allow the cookies to cool on the baking sheet to retain any moisture. These look and smell insane. I decided to only put 6 on the baking tray in the end because I wanted to leave them enough space, but they've come out pretty perfectly and just how I wanted them to. So they're nice and thick and soft and chewy, loads of chocolatey chunks. I'm gonna leave them to cool completely, and I'm sure we'll be tucking into 1 or 2 of these later. These cookies will keep for around 4 days in an airtight container. That's if you can make them last that long. And if they do get a little bit hard, you can actually place a slice of apple in your tin or warm them slightly and they will soften up in no time. Full recipe and instructions on how to make these cookies, if you prefer a written version, will be up on my blog, so I'll link that below, or drop me a message and I will email you the recipe. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really do hope you enjoyed it and I will see you next time. Bye.